Welcome to Assets and Algorithms, the podcast where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. Today, I have my guest Adam Stupak with me from SpaceIt. Thanks for joining me today, Adam. I'm excited to learn a bit more about SpaceIt. I'd love to dive in. Um,
Sure.
can you share a little bit about your role, your journey, and how it fits into the bigger picture at SpaceIt?
Sure. So my journey started. I was a real estate broker, and there was a major issue in the real estate. And what was happening was people were not calling back, or phone calls when they would call back would be too late. And it was really, and me being the lead at that time and calling these brokers because I was a tenant broker and nobody calling me back, I was like not interested after a while. They would call me back 4 days later. And we're a now generation, as they say. We want everything now, now, now. So I started to think, I was at my daughter's soccer game. I was thinking about this, and I called the next door neighbor who is a tech guy, sold this company for a lot of money. His name is Jordan Keltz, and Jordan and I became partners. And it was a interesting journey to start this. And basically, what SpaceIt is, it's a tailor-made solution for real estate, but it changed to other things too. You can use it for other businesses as well to help fight the persistent problem of capturing and nurturing those leads.
Awesome. Awesome. I definitely think you guys are like you said, rethinking how leads are captured and nurtured. And that's necessary, right? A ton of agents don't have those processes, and technology can make it easier to save you time, be more organized. So I'd love
Especially
to
in
hear.
this, yeah, especially in this business. The leads go unanswered, and you work very, very hard for a lead and to make a sale. And it's a very competitive business. It's a commission business. And all of a sudden, these leads disappear. Well, that's a problem. And you don't want that to happen.
Exactly. I 100% agree. Another point I'd like to make is, some people are juggling a mix of, operations, sometimes tech infrastructure, partnerships or client relationships. So I'd like to ask you, what does a day in the life look like when you're managing your platform that touches both real estate and software?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot that goes into it, especially with the startup. Is we can do a whole segment about startups. Actually, could probably do about 6 segments about startups. Our day consists of meetings in the morning or meetings in the afternoon, seeing clients during the course of the day, seeing what's going on, talking to the CTO of what's happening, if there's any problems, if there isn't. Our product is made in the United States. Our CTO and his team are all from local people, and they're very, very smart and articulate. So we really run into very, very few product problems. So we don't have to worry about that. But once in a while, you'll get a question of how things work and what doesn't work, and we have to answer those questions. The day starts early in the morning and ends late at night with a lot of people talking to us.
Right, right. I can only imagine, like you said, having a startup and pushing that startup towards growth can be difficult, and there's a lot of different variables. I imagine that you guys have a hybrid work environment. Can you tell me a little bit about how that helps with cost optimization, and what type of trends are you most excited about or surprising you when it comes to these new work environments?
Well, I think, uh, again, that's a great question because, my kids have this, they all work for tech companies and they all work remotely. And, it's nice to work remotely. It really is, but you got to go into the office at least once a week. And that's what we did. So we started out, my partner and I meeting, and we were neighbors, so we would meet anywhere and we would sit and talk. We brought in somebody else and the CTO, and we would meet once or twice a week in an office in Manhattan. And then we went to remote, and just like this, everything could be done by Zoom, and we could sit there by Zoom. When you travel into the city, and you do have to travel to see your clients though, and when you travel into the city to have a meeting, it takes an hour there. Then you have the train, the bus, whatever, it's going to be another 40 minutes. So it's an hour and 40 minutes, and then coming home. So it's a waste of time, waste of productivity. So we feel it was better and a waste of money because you would have to pay for an office. We feel it was much more, it was a better situation to work remotely, even before COVID started. So this is something that we saw and we felt. So we started to work remotely way before COVID.
That's awesome. I think having that insight to see that shift that was coming before
Yeah,
COVID, just shows that you're forward thinking and an early
we're forward
adapter.
thinking. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'd love to pivot really quickly to some of the recent wins or unexpected roadblocks in building your space. And can you talk to me about that and maybe some of the things that have been frustrating?
Let's talk about positive first. We'll go into negative after.
Absolutely.
We got very lucky and we found a very big business with new development. New development is taking America by surprise. These apartments are going up and these people are moving into new development. People like new. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, leasing or buying or gated communities, we're doing very, very well with. One major company loves us. Actually, three major companies love us, and we're doing well, and especially with the new development. And we were demoing this for somebody, and we actually used live data through our connection. And the person said, "Yeah, you can use our exact new development project." And we sat there, and all of a sudden we saw the numbers rolling, the phone numbers, the calls coming in. It was just incredible. And it was just shocking. The negative is, like any new project, it takes time to adopt to it. So it takes time. We started out doing commercial real estate, which should have been a very, very big win for us, but it was a little bit slower. Then we went into residential, which was much, much better. And so was the new development. The other issue is always raising money. Our main investor unfortunately got sick and said, "Hey, we can't sustain like this anymore." But we're still sustaining, we're still doing well, and we're always looking for new investors to help us take us to the next level.
You guys have provided a ton of value and got a great positive feedback. With tech adoption growing across real estate, how do you approach that management and that change management when onboarding new teams?
First, we have an onboarding department that helps on board.
Mhm.
I think Derek, you're going to be very surprised. Technology is really not happening in real estate. It's so behind the eight ball, and they're very, very. The broker is interested in one thing: sales. They want to make their money. They want to do, and they have to take a step back and see what's going to help them. And something like this is so easy to use, so inexpensive that can help them tremendously. But technology in real estate is very slow, and they're very slow adapters, which is another problem that sometimes we encounter. So you might see somebody who's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I want to use real estate. I want to use technology," but they don't know how to use it. They don't know how to get started. We have a team that will help onboard people. We have phone. You can call me directly. You can call my partner directly. You can call the CTO directly. We're nimble, which is very, very important. We just want to see success. And that's what you see when you use SpaceIt. You see the phone numbers coming in. You're not losing that lead. You can follow up with that lead. That lead's been sitting in my box for a month. Uh-oh. I'm going to fix that. The old way used to be writing everything down, pen and paper. No, now it's you see it's transparency. The
Mhm.
landlord could see what's going on. The manager can see what's going on. The salesperson, how long did it take to call back the lead? Imagine calling back the lead within 5 minutes. That's incredible. Following up with the lead. They don't do that in real estate. It's very, very behind. Even though they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're moving along," they're not moving along like they should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially commercial real estate, right? They've
Commercial.
uh been dragging their feet a bit when it comes to adopting technology and
Yeah.
implementing those tools. So what I'd like to ask you, because you mentioned success, or being able to track certain things, and I want to know a little bit more about which signals or metrics are you most focused on improving at the moment?
Well, with us, we don't lose a single lead. If there's 1,000 leads that come in, that means that there's going to be 1,000 leads that you can call back, you can
Mhm.
text back, you can email back. So you're not going to lose a single solitary lead. Now, if you have a good campaign, like I told you, we had a new development business and that phone would not stop ringing. It was so busy. And by the way, it was the fastest selling for this company ever. And it was shocking because what happened was every lead was captured and they called
Yeah.
back. And it wasn't because like, oh, the market's just so incredible. The market's not so incredible. What's incredible is that everybody got a phone call back. And when we sat there and we watched these leads coming in, it was impossible for three people to answer the phone, but it wasn't impossible for SpaceIt to capture the information if the phone call got missed. So, and you know what? We don't like to miss a call. We're going to capture every single call. We're going to answer, hey, can I help you? And what's really cool is when there's a recorded message, hi, you've reached SpaceIt, not Space, the name of the building. And it'll give you some information about it. Please hold on for the next available salesperson. And then Adam will get on. But before Adam gets on, he knows Derek is on the line. So I can go, hey, Derek, how are you? And I'll know more about it also. I'll know your name, where you're coming from, and I can even get demographics about how much money you make, what you do for a living. I can do anything you want or the client wants.
Mm.
So it's no more guesswork. We know everything, which is
No,
shocking.
that
It's
is
really
shocking.
cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And I'll give you a demonstration the next time when we have more time.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it. I always love to say, people don't necessarily need more leads. What they need is a
Qualified.
good a good follow-up system, qualifying and nurturing them, being able to make sure that the leads that they have don't fall through the cracks. It
You don't
sounds
want
like
that to happen. Yep.
right, exactly. So I'd like to dive in a little bit more to what you guys see in the future, right? Where would you say you're aiming to be partnerships or geographic expansion wise, or even product features that you're looking at to elevate the user experience on
Sure.
your platform?
Sure. Yeah, now I just want to say one thing also, which is really cool, Derek. I don't know if you have a tech background or not, but our Space It goes into CRMs also. So if a company is working with a CRM, we seamlessly go in there. So there's no writing. It goes in there automatically. Exactly what we spoke about, exactly what's going on. So it's also in the CRM, so everybody can see what's going on because that's the one thing people are pushing our CRMs. But
Hmm.
if you don't put the right information in the CRM
Hmm.
is useless. This
Yeah.
is and by the way, nobody wants to put the right information in because it's more work. You don't have to do anything. All you do is sit here. We can have a conversation. I can just put in, okay, your name. Oh, and by the way, I don't have to put your name in. It comes up automatically, as I
Hmm.
mentioned in the beginning. So where it says name and last name, it'll say Derek Moore. And it goes right into the CRM. What building you're looking for. It'll tell you exactly. It'll go right into the CRM. There's no writing. But now, let's say Derek. Derek calls about the building next door, and it's the same landlord. We'll capture all that information. If it's the same information, I'm sorry, if it's the same company, XYZ agency, we'll capture all your information and we'll know. So we'll also know how many other places, if you're real or not real, because we're going to be capturing if you went to A, B, or C. And that's important also to know because you're really looking because you went to A, B, and C. What we're looking to do is AI, just like everybody else. We're in the
Hmm.
process of working on some very special things with AI, again, to just see if you're a real client or just shopping around, voice recognition, things like that. So those are things that are being worked on as well.
Awesome. I think, yeah, like you said, everybody's, really taking advantage of AI now, and I think they should
Yeah,
be, so having that implemented in your tool to be able to make, the processes more intelligent can only make things better for the client, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. You got to know how to use AI though.
Right. Yeah, that's very
You got to know how to
important.
use it. Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of conversation around AI taking away jobs, but I think the most important thing is that people learn to interact with and use it in the proper way to get the best results, right? If someone can use AI to get the necessary response and dive into the information um, accurately, and the efficiency and productivity rates of that person can raise tremendously. And that goes for anybody. So
And
it'll
if
be
it's
interesting to
not,
see.
yeah,
Hmm.
and if it's not done properly, unfortunately, it's going to crash and burn. So I had the pleasure of seeing a AI website, and they were all proud. Everybody's patting themselves on their back, and somebody demonstrated it to me, and it wasn't working. It was weird. It was a weird problem because
Mm.
you're going into this website that you invested so much money in and you're not getting what you really want.
Mm.
So everybody's patting themselves saying, "Oh, we did a great job." But those problems.
Mm. Yeah, it's new. I think there'll always be problems, right?
Always be
New
problems.
solutions create new problems. But
Absolutely.
being able to steamroll those problems and reach that ultimate goal is going to be what we look out for in the market
Sure.
as this technology changes.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, if you could solve one major challenge or one major problem today, what would that be?
Stop the wars. No, I'm joking. I'm assuming that you're talking about. I think one of the biggest problems are in real estate is the leads. I've been a agent and now a broker for over 20 years, and I was just as bad. Getting back to clients is still a very, very, very big problem. And I can, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. We judge people on the phone. This is what brokers do. They judge. You can't judge a book by its cover. And we don't get back to people. And I
Mm,
had a guy who called me up and I'm like, yeah, I wrote all this information down. And this is not long ago. This was maybe 9 years ago. I wrote everything down and basically I threw the paper away. And he
mm,
called again and I wrote all the information down and I misplaced it. So he called me again. He goes, "Look, I want to buy this building. Are you going to sell it to me?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he came into my office. I met him. And by the way, very thick accent. And again, I judged him. He bought the building. He spent $8 million, $7 million in the building. And it was a great deal. The moral of the story is A, you can't judge people, and B, you got to pull back these leads quickly. So if
mm,
you want to be successful in this business, those two things you gotta, especially the leads, you really gotta pull back leads and you gotta stay on top of it. And like I said to you just before, if you're looking at building A, B, and C all next to each other, you're probably for real. If you're just looking at one building, A, and not looking at B, C, and D, there's probably, you're probably just looking at this building to find out information about it. But you
mm.
really want to know the right way and you want all the tools. So if I was solving the real estate problem right now, I think one of the biggest problems is leads.
Yeah, and it sounds like SpaceIt is definitely positioned well to solve that problem and help operators operate better.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love it. I appreciate you sharing a bit about it and your journey. I'd love to see how what it grows into and how it's able to
Absolutely.
push commercial real estate forward. Thanks for joining me today, Adam. I want to
Sir.
give you the time to let people know where they can find you if they want to continue the conversation, find out more about Space It or anything else you have going on.
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can always check me out on LinkedIn. It's Adam Stupak, Stupak. Our website is spaceit.com. You can check it out anytime. My partner's there. I'm there. And if you got anything going on, we'd love to hear what you have to say. And, there's a lot of good things happening with SpaceIt and going to continue happening with SpaceIt.
Sounds great, man. Again, I
Mm.
appreciate you joining, and
No, I love
this
it.
has been another episode of Assets and Algorithms.
Love it.